I can change t-shirts if you want.
Right, keep going so. Okay, guys, welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Barry Vaughan. And in part 2, we're going to be discussing GA players, field athletes, people who play sports and who are maybe just a little bit lost, a little bit in the unknown right now of how they should train, what way to proceed over the next coming weeks and months. And Barry has a wealth of experience that we're going to run through some questions, and you'll hopefully have a clear direction and a clear idea of what the best strategies might be for you. So Barry, thanks again for coming on to help our GA players out there.
Thank you. I'll try.
Yeah. So again, just briefly, I suppose, for your sporting coaching background, like GA players and teams, like would you give people a quick synopsis of that, please?
Perfect. So sports teams, GA would be the main sport that I would have worked with from underage to senior. So we wrote a syllabus for Limerick GA under 14s, 15s and 16s. And we coached them through that for about 4 years. I think that was back about 2007, maybe 2003, 2007. And wrote a book. And I think they're still using some version of that book now. And then Cork football. I think Cork football was one of the first big teams that I trained. While I was training them, they got on very well and won in All-Ireland. The Cork 21s then, they were a very good team as well. I think they won as well. Of course, I take full responsibility for them winning the All-Ireland.
Of course, obviously.
All the points and goals I scored myself. Rumour has it they were only mediocre before I trained them.
In your humble opinion.
Yeah, that's it.
So I suppose
GA team, a lot of GA teams really, Macroom, Mayfield, Kildare, all these people, I helped all of them over the years.
Yeah,
I was very lucky.
We definitely crossed paths in Mayfield, and I suppose you actually kind of nearly set me down the pathway that I went on, which was fantastic. I think in some way maybe
I apologise.
You made me interested in the sports sciencey kind of stuff for things and got me down that route. So I suppose where we are right now is that most of my friends are all the Mayfield lads, GA lads. I think they're a bit lost, and like everyone else is a bit lost. But I think from a sporting point of view, you think just that camaraderie alone of the training on a Tuesday and a Thursday and a match, and there's that sense of purpose that comes with being part of a team and part of a goal you're all trying to succeed in. What kind of advice do you give them right now in regards the training they should be doing, and to maintain fitness levels, to stay on top of their shape in case we end up going back to a GA season and all looks unlikely? But
so on the physical side, what I would say to them is I took careful records of the last 20 years of all the GA players that I was training, put them in an Excel file, and averaged out over the course of the season how many contact and non-contact injuries they had. I might give you a graphic of that because I think you'd like it.
That'd be awesome.
And over the course of a season, you're really talking about hamstring, ankle, and knee injuries. They're the big three for a field sport player. You could say GA as well. And there are loads of things you could be doing right now to prevent those from happening. So what I would say is, maybe we could, I have no problem at all with you teaming up with you, sending you a couple of videos or letting you do them yourself. There are a couple of ones that I used with Cork football a lot, and all of the GA teams that don't require any equipment that you can do at home on your own. A lot of them are very well known. So you've the natural glute ham raise. Your feet are anchored under something for injury prevention.
Yeah.
You have the Copenhagen adductor. You have the natural leg extension. You have a lot of ones like that. Most of them are covered in the soccer research, but 90% of them don't actually use any equipment. What I would be doing is chopping them down and putting a little program together that you could do at home safely. And maybe someone like you could distribute it to them, where the players that you have, if they feel a bit lost, you will distribute this to them and say, look, you feel a bit lost, you don't want to come back in and tear your hamstring the first week, here's what you're going to do in the meantime. That's
what I think you will see, as in what you're discussing there, is when they do go back, they're going to go back head for lead or not having done this work, and that's they're going to see the injury.
They're going to be using all this pent-up aggression into kicking some young fella in the first 5 minutes. And they get about 45 seconds of their season played before their hamstring pops.
Yeah.
We don't want that. If we could perhaps convince them to look after themselves well now in the meantime, and they won't be going back getting injured, and we better look after them properly, because I'm not that concerned about charging people money for services all the time, because you will find if you take very good care of people when things are bad, they'll all remember you when things are good again.
I completely agree. I think that's the route. Like, people will stand by you when things get good again, knowing that you've helped them out. I suppose from a fitness level point of view, like, fellas have gone from what was typically a pre-season and nearly coming to peaking at the end of pre-season. Like right now, they've already coming close to first round of the championship, and I've gone from that to nothing. What's with no equipment, with a field is probably all they have. What's the best approach for them to take in regards to keeping their fitness levels up, in your opinion?
You're going to have some kind of measurable standard that they're keeping themselves at. You can use things like I think we used to have like informal standards. Now, this was actually the coach Ballingery GA, the ladies Ballingery GA coach, had a fantastic way of measuring his players. He had out to the 45 and back. And I think, don't quote me, but I think that takes 15 seconds for a fit, strong adult man, and maybe about 20 seconds for a fit, strong adult woman. Now, what they used to do, now you have to try that yourself, but depends whether you're wearing studs or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you had some kind of a simple standard like that you go out to the 45 and back in 15 seconds, and that you can set up your timer, that could be 15 seconds. Now, you could give yourself 30 seconds breaks, you've incomplete recovery, and you could try and complete that as many times as possible until you're no longer to do it within the beep.
Yeah.
So that Gym Boss app would be totally fine. You could set a green work interval for 15 seconds, 30 seconds of recovery, and pace 45 paces or 45 yards. If you're still allowed, are you allowed on no GA pitch these days?
The most of my clothes, but sure, any field at all would do is pace 45 steps, I suppose, would be the way to do it. As long as you have some sort of measurable distance is the key, really.
Some kind of measurable distance that you can keep. Now, that's one low-tech measure. There's another very high-tech measure. I'm thinking of things now that you could come back in, have 30 players all past that standard and be kind of okay.
And that's what you want. That's really, as a team, is what you're hoping to have, is that they
maybe you could try the 150s. I think some of my comrades in the university arena in Limerick came up with that test, the 150 test, because a 150 shuttle test, it takes 6 minutes to administer, where you have 30 seconds on, 30 seconds back, or 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And you have 30 seconds to go out to the 5 and back, out to the 10 and back, out to the 15 and back, up to 25. So there's a total possible distance that you could cover of 150 meters. You complete it 6 times, you can get a total possible score of 900.
Yeah.
That's a number score at least, and that's zero technology, zero equipment.
And what I'd like to say there for people listening is that what you're bringing in with those shuttles is a bit of sharp turning, which is going to be key, that you're not just doing straight line running for the next 5 or 6 weeks, because that's where, again, the injuries will occur as soon as you go back to do a quick turn or a point without doing any kind of work on it. You're going to get an injury, so exercise, that would be key.
If you think of the moments when injuries happen at the moments when the actual force is high and when you're changing. So when you're changing from left to right, start to stop, when you land, to be no harm at all, a little video, a mini series of how to land properly, like landing drills, 2 feet, 1 feet, 1 foot and turning. That's a lovely little progression that you can put together on video for your players, because as I would tell people, there was nobody ever hurt during a takeoff. You show me one person that got hurt taking off.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. You don't get hurt by jumping up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get hurt when you land. And most people can't land. Like, they just can't land. And then they're so surprised when they get injured. But like in other countries like America and all that, if you look, it's like everything. Australia, America, Canada, and then 10, 15 years later, we get the idea.
Yeah.
They all train landing, like from a young age, and they correlate over landing ability with how strong you are in weightlifting as well. So they'll make sure that you're strong with weightlifting before you're given high impact drills. In this country, we may jump straight into jumping without any prep.
Yeah, like the technicality involved in it. I went up to a speed course in Dublin, Stanton College speed course with a guy from the NFL basically, and I was just blown away at the minuscule things he was looking at in regards to twisting and turning of the foot and the ankle, and it's just like, and his whole thing is to get fellas to a split second move and turn them faster without getting injured. And it really came down to what you're saying there is how to land, how to twist. Like there's ways of doing it versus the way you just do it, because that's most people. This is just how I run. This is just how I walk. You know, there's ways to learn that.
And that's a skill, like, and you've got plenty of time for skill acquisition now, is what I'd be saying to you.
Yeah, like stuff you don't like, single leg hops, single leg lateral hops, a lot of that stuff. That's all very key to. Most of the time we're on one leg, you know, doing most of the.
Yeah, you're not going to be doing you're not. God bless weightlifting. You're not going to be deadlifting on a pitch. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's different. It's not relevant to running, really.
Like some fellas who were training flat out in the gym are concerned about the gym now, whereas as like what you're saying, I think is absolutely spot on. This is a big opportunity for them to go out onto a field now, and it'll be an unstable and unsteady field because it's not going to be GA pitch, and practice just single leg turning, jumping, sprinting, that kind of stuff. That's going to make a difference if there is a championship this year when championship comes around. You know?
I wouldn't be too awfully concerned about losing muscle mass or anything like that. Just keep your protein nice and high and eat well. Yeah. Like I could keep my body the same shape and size year round, even if I wasn't doing weightlifting.
I think it's important to touch on that, because that's definitely an area people get lost. And I said it's almost depressing how hard it is to actually gain muscle when you've been training for years. Like people don't understand that. You're not going to lose all your muscle, and whole thing of I'm going to gain loads, unless you're getting your newbie gains. You could hope for maybe a kilo of lean muscle a year if you're a trained person, you know. So don't be too concerned about losing or gaining massive. It's really, if you're a GA player, your focus really needs to be shifted to gaining on the field in these small areas. That'll matter when it comes down to the last 10 minutes of a game.
I don't think people like Gooch Cooper and those types of people would be overly concerned about losing muscle mass. No. They have bigger fish to fry besides that, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, like the fitness tests for at home would be what you kind of discussed there. So you've got the 150, you've got even the 45 meter, 15 seconds, 20-second runs.
Yeah.
What about what's your take on the endurance side of things? So doing a 5K time or a 6K time, do you think that's beneficial towards GA players?
Be a fantastic idea, but maybe a bit shorter. Like maybe you could steal a lot of the tests from the Irish Army. Be no harm. The short run, I think, is. My God, I worked with the Army for a while. I think I fitness tested about 3,000 people, and I can't remember the length of the run. It's short. It's like 1.5 or 2.
Yeah. Is it a mile or something? Is it
like the push-up, sit-up, run would be a nice little test, because that's easy to administer, you know?
Yeah.
And you could maybe say just post your push-up, sit-up and run, and maybe video your sit-up and push-ups so that I know you're doing them.
Yeah, especially the sit-ups.
Yeah. I'd like, Liam Fernie tells you he's after doing 54 push-ups in a minute. Like you are, Liam.
Stop. I have push-ups like fucking Liam Fernie. Good man for no.
I love you, Liam. I didn't see you in a long time.
He's flying over in Canada.
Liam upper body Fernie, I used to call you.
He got no one for that. So
I hope some of the Mayfield lads are watching this. I miss you all.
Tell me, in regards, this like, I suppose it's a hard question to answer because we are in the unknown. But just for GA players listening who don't know when championship's going to be, don't know, when they're going to be back training with their teammates and stuff. From a physical point of view, first I asked the question, what kind of goals do you think they should be setting themselves? And then from a mental health point of view, what do you think there's any tips you can give them to kind of stay on top of that when know that they've had this camaraderie almost taken away from them?
Yeah, I would say try and keep that going. Set up a WhatsApp group, set up a Zoom group, and have some kind of crack going. Like, I have 5 or 6 WhatsApp groups that are buzzing all the time. Funny stuff like.
Yeah. Don't
lose touch with your friends because they love you and they want to be looking after you. And you're going to be you've chose a team sport for a reason. Like I don't like team sports. I like training on my own. But you chose a team sport because you like hanging out with people that you like hanging out with. So keep that going.
Yeah.
And I think with the physical side, you could do a very good job of working with a coach online and do an 8-week program. You'll be safe enough now. You look at all the figures where we are with the curve, you're going to be quite safe following an 8-week pre-season right now. You could be in the shape of your life in 8 weeks' time.
I completely agree. And you'll be as fit as you've been, because your focus is definitely going to be very much more cardio-based than most fellas who go to a coach. Is to go to coach to get a gym-based program, whereas again, going back to athletes and field sports, your attributes are going to be made on the field.
But look at all the classic old school GA teams. They never had any gym work.
Yeah.
You can push and pull. You can push a car. You can climb a rope. You can fill up. You can use bales of hay. You can do proper old school Rocky IV style training. I would say if you don't come out of this apocalypse situation stronger and fitter and more skillful than you went in, what were you at? That's what I would say.
I come.
Like I know, I'm sitting here now. I've kettlebells out the back. Like they're there. I can take 2 steps out there, do 50 swings, come back in, change a nappy. Like if I don't come out of this couple of months without a few extra courses done, or a few extra business ideas done, or strong and fit with the equipment I have there, like what have you been doing?
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
I think it's asking yourself that question of a lot of people, unfortunately, have a very, I know it's a mindset thing, but a victim mentality of this is happening to me or poor me, instead of asking themselves, right, this is shit, but what can I do now to help me? What can I do to improve myself? People don't, if you don't ask yourself that actual question, you're never going to find an answer to that.
And it's okay to have a couple of pity parties along the way as well. Like I had a bit of a pity party a couple of days ago. You're going to have that, but what you want to have is over say we've 3 months of being isolated or whatever. You want to see that 3 months later, you're in a slightly better position than you were at the start.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a hiccup or two, but
I definitely think it's key to get that point across. Again, I said, like, definitely for me, it was the last Monday and Tuesday. I was just really struggling in my head. Took a while for me had to go for walks. Lisa was asking me what was wrong. Kian was asking what was wrong. And I didn't know. I really didn't know. I couldn't verbalize what it was. And it just took me a couple of days to really figure out why I was frustrated, what was wrong. And then by speaking to Lisa and actually speaking to Kian, because I was actually getting frustrated at Kian, even though it wasn't his fault. And then by speaking to him for an hour, I was just like, oh, right, I figured out now that it's just the division was lost for a little bit. Now the vision is back. Because I discussed it with you, and straight away felt better. But it took me a couple of days to get out of that funk. But I think it's important for people to understand, just it's okay, as you said, to be in that funk, but just also trying to take steps to get you out of it at the same time.
Yes.
That's going to be key.
As well, one thing to remember as well is that suffering is part of life. Like, it's not unfair to have bad times. Like, suffering is part of life. There's a purpose to suffering. And if you take it the right way, do the work and learn something from it, you come out the other end better off. And I've been reading that the last couple of days.
Oh, I read it. Fantastic book.
5 or 6 of my friends referred that to me.
That's Man's Search for Meaning for anybody who's just listening to the podcast and not watching us. Viktor Frankl, really good book.
You're supposed to suffer a little bit.
Yeah. I think if people can take that acceptance of this is something that's happening versus happening to me, I think that there's a big mentality shift there. But like in regards, I said, GA players and field athletes, I think they hopefully understand by the end of this that there is a huge opportunity. And even if, and it's a bleak way of looking at things, even if GA does not go ahead this year for whatever reason, you should still be aiming to be fit. You should still be aiming to exercise and train regularly. Like you shouldn't be faking it away till next season. Like that's the wrong attitude to have.
No, I wouldn't be waiting until like 2 weekends before GA starts in a year's time to try and get
exactly.
fit.
And that's
I would make out I don't know what GA teams are doing. I presume that the coaching and management of GA teams is giving people a little bit of stuff to do at home. And if
I know the Mayfield lads have like a target run time for the whole squad. It's a pretty tough run time, so I'll keep the boys occupied. Just a side note before we kind of finish up, just kind of came into my head there is the mobility side of things and GA. Okay, you are an unbelievable advocate for it. What I've seen over my years of being involved is I've had to find trickery ways of getting it into their programs because they're bollockses. They won't. If you give someone a 10-15 minute routine, they'll do it the first 1 or 2 sessions, and then they're hitting the weights. And you go into the gym and you see them do it. So we have to find ways. During their breaks, it's like your 60-second break now is doing this stretch or whatever, because that was the only way of doing it. But like, how can you stress the importance of the mobility side of things for injury prevention, for just moving better, and like doing more of the movement stuff that you promote?
What I would say is on Tuesdays now at 6:30, GA players, whatever, tune into that. Take notes, rob pieces of it, do it yourself. And then what I would say is the exercises that I would teach people, like the mobility stuff, that's just teaching someone how to brush their teeth so they don't end up in the dentist. That's what I would say, because I'll give you the exercises for free, and if you don't do them, I will see you within a couple of months and you'll be paying me €65 an hour for a treatment.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I actually don't want to be seeing you.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be injured. I don't want to be seeing you. There's plenty of people out there that are injured. I can make a living that way. But I remember there was an inter-county GA player once. I gave them all a program, and he had a really risky hamstring. And I said to him, if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to tear your hamstring within a month. And he didn't do what I said. And 3.5 weeks later, he tore his hamstring. And he came back to me and he said, what will I do now? I says, you're going to have to invent a time machine, go back 4 weeks and start the hamstring exercise I gave you.
But like, unfortunately,
what was I going to do then? Like,
unfortunately, it's the same as anything else. It's the same as, I suppose, with my case against helping people with obesity, is that the fear of what it'll bring isn't scary enough. It's too far in the future to be scary enough to take action. And it's trying to bring that, or like, if you don't look after your health, then these are things that probably will happen, or a good chance these are going to happen. But until it happens, it's exactly like a sports injury. If you don't look after your mobility, there's a good chance you're going to get injured. There's a good chance, but it's like, no, I'll wait just until I'm there, and then I'll come to you and ask for help. It's madness.
I think you have to do the A and B kind of situation. So, reciprocal inhibition. You stretch your pecs, your pulling improves. You stretch your hip flexors, your glutes switch on. That's the best way to sneak it into a GA player's workout, because I used to use it as a method of signing people up. Do you know that Vertex jump mat that I used to have?
Yeah.
You'd strap it on, you'd measure the vertical jump. I once had a GA player come in, jump 30 centimeters. I did a PNF stretch on his hip flexor and had him jump again, and he jumped 45.
Yeah.
So I said to him,
take my money.
Yeah. He was like, can I sign up now? And I said, if you've put 15 centimeters on your jump in 5 minutes, what would you do in 6 months?
Yeah.
I said, we have to remove ceiling tiles for you.
Yeah.
And he, what I used to do with players a lot is, say you've got a target exercise like a kettlebell swing. Kettlebell swing would be ideal. You could easily stretch a hip flexor in between sets of kettlebell swings and feel it more and more in your glutes each time. And that's the only way to force someone to stretch. If they can physically, athletes like an improvement. So if you can force them into doing it by pair up a stretch that they need to do opposite an exercise that they like doing. And if the stretch makes them better at deadlifting or better at benching, they will do it then. Yeah, there was Pavel Tatulin, the kettlebell guy.
Yeah.
He trained me once in Copenhagen for a while. He had a lady do a push-up. I think she got 5 reps. He did a technique to stretch her lats, and she got 26 or 27 push-ups after he did it.
That's amazing.
So she was going to do that stretch again.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I can see the value in it. I think that's where people go wrong, is they devalue the power of 2 minutes of stretching, but if it's every day. Like if you do 2 minutes stretching every single day, that over a year is going to be a massive amount of time you spend stretching.
Yeah. I'll give you a nice hip thing now on Tuesday night again. We did 3 of them the last day, but I'll give you a 5-minute flow, and you can screenshot that or save it and give it to people or do it yourself.
Oh, look, for me, for the golf tips, I definitely need it.
Yeah, I stole it from Steve Cotter, the American guy, a martial artist. It's like, because I was adding it up. You front the leg, outside the leg, inside the leg, back of the leg. You 50 or 60 muscles there. If you stretch them individually, you'd die of old age before you'd finish doing them.
Yeah.
So there is a 5-minute flow that you can do that you can stretch every muscle in the lower body in one go. I'll show you that on Tuesday.
Brilliant, fantastic. So that was a really enjoyable conversation, if I say so myself. Just to finish on GA players, people who play field sports, just your top tips to stay active and what you think they should be really focusing on over the next coming weeks, just to keep themselves both physically and mentally in a healthy place.
Brilliant. Don't stop running, because you'll then die when you go to play GA again. Any experienced GA player would tell you that if you stop running now, you will die of sadness and your heart and lungs will explode when you go back to play GA again. And you'll be that guy on the sidelines retching when everyone else is doing their running.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Keep running and keep a standard. Like you're amongst your teammates now. Whatever, like do 3 different standards, or one, or a basic standard, or a whatever. Maybe the army run would be good, the 1.5 or the 2. I think you said Mayfield are doing a good job on that.
Yeah.
And so can you get everyone to do that?
Yeah.
Don't stop running. So don't stop running. Do something targeted and research-based around injury prevention. And we'll give you those.
Yeah.
We'll outline those for you, the main ones for you. So maybe do injury prevention twice, do running twice, and maybe do a bit of strength training twice.
Yeah.
And they can be short sessions. They could be a half hour ago. So the World Health Organization always wanted you doing a half an hour anyway.
Yeah.
So you might actually do it now. During the apocalypse, you might do it for the first time.
Exactly. Yeah. Just creating that routine.
Like I was teaching mindfulness to people 20 years ago. We were calling it sports psychology then. You could not convince someone to do it, but they're banging down the door now to learn it because they need it now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
One thing as well. So you've the strength training, you've the injury prevention, you've the weight training. One little mental health trick that you could do box breathing. So 4, 4, 4, 4. Try this like first thing in the morning, last thing at night, or if you're very stressed, you could do, you sit somewhere quiet, or you lie down on your back, and you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds. What that actually does is it literally turns the switch and switches off your sympathetic nervous system and switches on the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, feed and breathe, because you could not breathe that way if there was a wild animal in the room. By breathing that way, you're telling your physiology that everything is okay. And whether it is or not, your body will start thinking that, and then you'll notice, you'll start yawning, stomach will start gurgling, digestion starts up. That's called box breathing.
Fantastic.
And I don't see any reason why you couldn't learn that and do it now and do it on the pitch later.
Yeah, great.
That will instantly work.
So Barry, just for all the GA players who know, definitely want to contact you to get some mobility stuff, maybe get some programming. How can they find you?
Yeah, so Barry Vaughan Health on Instagram, or barryvaughanhealth@gmail.com.
Excellent.
And what I might say now as well, right? If someone was looking for injury prevention stuff or mobility stuff, contact me, right? If someone is looking for, if you don't want me saying so, if someone's looking for proper hard training, planned out properly to peak you for a GA season, please contact Ian.
Thanks very much, Barry. Appreciate that.
Because he's going to be better at it right now. It's 10 years since I trained GA players.
Yeah.
Like I went back to train a judo player recently, and I was like, oh, I did judo for Ireland. I should know the rules. The rules are different now. Like, I was trying to show him a couple of techniques. He's like, that's illegal. You can't do that anymore. I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, that was my favorite one.
And with saying that as well, though, like I'm very much an advocate of staying in my lane. So it is like one of those ones. If someone comes to me with an injury, I'm like, I don't know how to treat that, so I will send them your way. Like, so that's fantastic. Barry Vaughan, thank you so much for 2 really good podcasts. I really appreciate it, and we'll keep in touch. Thanks, guys. So make sure to check out Barry Vaughan. Really appreciate him coming on for the podcast, and make sure just give a like and a share to this podcast if you enjoyed it. And make sure to check out ATP's Fitness YouTube, so ATP Fitness Cork, for all our videos, home workouts, etc. Stay tuned for more podcasts. Thanks very much, guys.